What if you could instantly heal to full health with the press of a button? What if you could teleport across the map with the same key? Well, if you aren't familiar with Team Fortress 2, you might think I am peddling some sort of cheating software, but setting this up is as simple as a few clicks in a settings menu. In this video, I will go into depth about resupply binds, also known as banny binds or loadout binds. To set up the bind, simply open the options menu and scroll to the Load Item Preset options. Bind each option to your desired keys and apply the changes. Next, make sure that you have the respawn on loadout change setting turned on in the advanced options menu. And that's it, your resup binds are all set. In case you want to add any of this to your configuration files, I'm putting the commands on screen. Now that we have created our resup binds, let me explain some specifics. Firstly, the bind will only work inside of your team's spawn room, with only a few known exceptions scattered throughout the Badlands. This spot on Frontier is the only one that I'm aware of that is still unpatched. What is and is not considered to be the spawn room can be a bit confusing on some maps, although the border is usually delineated by the gray spawn shutters. On some maps such as Granary and Citadel, there is a vestibule or other area that does not count as spawn, so you will have to keep that in mind. Anyways, upon pressing the button in a valid location in your spawn, you will be teleported to one of the spawning positions and have your health, ammo, and metal if you're playing engineer, restored to full. Some important things to note. Firstly, your crit heals will also be fully restored. This means that medics will heal you at 3 times their medigun's base healing rate, regardless of whether or not you have already taken any damage recently. I feel it is important to mention that crit heals are not restored when you just touch the resupply cabinet, so even if the spawn room you are in has a cabinet right next to the entrance, it is still sometimes worth using the bind anyways. Secondly, if you are in a spawn room that has been replaced by a more forward spawn, you will be teleported to the new spawn. Likewise, if you are in a spawn room that has been replaced by a further back spawn, you will be teleported backwards. Teleporting in this manner is usually referred to as back spawning or forward spawning. Both back and forward spawning can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the situation, so it is important that you are aware that the bind will teleport you. I would consider this mechanic to be integral to success on both payload and 5CP, and it surprises me how many experienced players are not fully aware of its existence. Thirdly, if you are playing medic, using a resup bind will preserve your ubercharge meter as long as you hit the button for the loadout you currently have equipped. If you change mediguns, your progress will be lost. Similarly, as a Demoman with a sticky trap, your stickies will remain placed as long as you keep the same loadout or switch to a loadout with the same sticky bomb launcher. As an engineer, you will keep your sentry gun unless you switch between the gunslinger and a regular wrench, or vice versa. While resupply binds are generally extremely powerful, you should be aware of a few niche scenarios that I have not mentioned where you should avoid using the bind and instead simply touch the cabinet. You would expect soldiers' banners to work the same way as medic's ubercharge meter, but for some reason you will lose all of your rage even if you keep the same loadout. This is true for the Pyro's Phlogistonator as well. For snowballing items that build up heads or kills, your progress will be lost if you use the bind. So for the Eyelander, Airstrike, Bizarre Bargain, and the like, consider making the walk over to the cabinet when you can. Another oddity I've experienced is that on some servers, the resupply bind is not very responsive or not functioning at all. I'm not entirely sure why resup binding is so lethargic sometimes, but I would assume it has something to do with the item servers being bogged down for whatever reason. Anyways, while there are a ton of other interactions I can go over for unlockable weapons, I think you get the point. If you aren't sure if your favorite loadout will be negatively affected by using a resupply bind, give it a try and find out. Otherwise, enjoy evading death in your games. No! No, no! No! Let me up! Alright, well, I think I'm dead. No, no.